What's going on, Sky Squad? What's going on this good sunrise Saturday morning? We got to talk about some Housewives news. Of course, you know how we do it. You know how we do, okay? We got some more Beverly Hills news. We got some more Atlanta news. We got some more Potomac news. But before we dive into it straight away, go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so, and hit that notification bell button and join the texting community. You guys can do so right there. With that out of the way, let's get down to business, okay? Let's get down to business because you know the girl Erica Jane is talking. Listen, well, let's get into what she had to say because, you know, she was tweeting the other night and thankfully our people over at Reality Blurb happened to capture this moment. She's kind of insinuating that hers is the only storyline that's actually popping off right now on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. And this is what she had to say. So a Twitter user said, do the other cast members even have storylines this season? Or will they all be riding off your coattails until the finale? Just give us a hint. I'm getting bored with their BS. First things first. Well, let me get to her response. She says, now, you know, we're going to beat my story to death. Not much else, really. Now, let's get into that real quick, okay? You know, the nerve. First of all, this is a woman. I mean, in terms of storylines, you know, she's had some, you know, the Broadway stuff, the music video stuff, and whatever else like that. But, you know, all the women have things going on in regards to their life like that. But in terms of a real actual story that's playing out that has some deep, meaningful connection with the audience, or that is big in some huge way, Erica hasn't really had that since she's been on this show. And she's been able to skate by for so long, almost kind of riding on everybody else's coattails in terms of stories. So to be quite honest with you, I just feel like, given that this is one of the biggest stories in the country in terms of reality TV, girl, you can't be surprised that it is, you know, casting a shadow over the rest of the season and over top of every other storyline that could be possibly going on right now. That's just the way it works. You had a choice. Did you want to do this show or did you not want to do this show? And what's it going to be? Because you had to know that that was going to happen. So at this point in time, don't be trying to make it seem like, oh, yours is the only thing that's popping right now. Because, girl, this ain't something that you want to be in. You know what I'm saying? This ain't something that nobody want to deal with. To quiet as it's kept, if you ask Sutton, none of them want to be dealing with this mess. But they got to deal with it because you brought it to the show to a certain degree. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I have sympathy for her to the degree that, you know, you don't want to ever see anybody struggle. But at the end of the day, the real victims in this situation, and I wish she would really continue to make that her focus, are the actual victims of, you know, the plane crash victims, the burn victims, the people that ain't got their money. You know what I'm saying? So let's direct a little bit more attention to those people, show a little bit more compassion to those people, and maybe, just maybe, the general public might have a better view of you. Because right now it ain't looking too hot, Erica. With that out of the way, let's go ahead and stage dive into, we're going to get into Potomac next. So yesterday we got a sneak peek of the moment leading up to when Gizelle is confronted by Wendy about the rumors that she had brought to the show about Eddie Acefo that were already making the rounds in the news, right? So when she gets into this discussion, we get a longer preview that was released by Bravo at this point. And, you know, the first preview was a preview that had come via Bravo's chat room. But now this preview kind of sets up the scene a little bit more. They're still, you know, having this whiskey tasting. And, you know, at that moment, Wendy decides that she's going to, you know, bring up the conversation that she had with Ashley with regards to, you know, the Eddie rumors. Now, she basically kind of goes around the room and asks, you know, who had been having those conversations, who had had conversations about this article. And what she probably means by that is who had been having conversations about this article on camera. That's what I really think she was talking about. So if you notice it, and I'll put the link in the description for you guys so that you guys can actually watch it for yourself. And shout out to our friends over at Urban Bell Mag, because I saw it in the clip, but when I saw that they had posted it too, I knew that I felt like my thoughts were legitimized, because they basically asked the same thing too. And I'll put that article down in the description down below, because when confronted about this, Wendy does go around the room asking each of the women, okay, were you talking about this? Have you done anything with this? Have you heard about this? Yada, 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 yada. And when she gets to Robin, okay, she said, I don't know what you're talking about. So then that's when Wendy turns back to Giselle and says, let's be very clear, don't attack my husband, because that's something I do not play with. And then Giselle asks, why are you looking at me, or whatever. At that point, she says, I'm looking at you because you was having a conversation with Ashley. And then Giselle turns to Ashley and asks if she went back and told Wendy what she said. Ashley says she did, but made sure to tell and emphasize that they don't believe there's any truth to the rumors. But see, here's the thing. This is what I agree with Wendy. Wendy says this to Giselle. She says, instead of you coming to me as a woman, you decide to talk to Ashley. So I'm putting you on notice, because you're not going to do. Let's be very clear. You're not going to play with my husband's name. And I totally agree with that 100%. I mean, you didn't go to Wendy first. You went to Ashley twice. Then you went to Robin. And no telling who else you might have had this conversation with, because nobody else said anything. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, it was kind of like, now, Robin, why don't you just go ahead and own what you said, or not really what you said, because we didn't really get much of Robin saying anything except that she didn't believe the rumors. But at the end of the day, I felt like, it's clear that Wendy already knows that Giselle is running around talking about this. Robin, at this point in time, you might as well just fess up to it instead of just acting like you don't know what's going on. I don't know. What are you talking about? I don't know. So it's going to be interesting to see if Robin will switch that. If she's going to do a little bit of flip-flopping here, because we do know that her and Wendy are going to get into it as well. So I want to see how that plays out. But, since it's, a little bit of sneak peek Saturday, I figured I would give you guys that little bit of extra detail, because I was wondering to myself, did she lie? And then again, when I saw it on Urban Bell Mag, I was like, I knew it. I knew I wasn't crazy. So anyway, I want you guys to check out those clips and that article so that you guys can be in the know and in preparation for tomorrow night's episode. Now let's get on to Kenya and Mark, the news of the day, because it just continues to get worse, because Radar Online again has the tea. Now, what they're saying is that Mark is accusing Kenya of suing him for custody just to create a quote unquote false narrative for the Real Housewives of Atlanta. So this is allegedly all to create a storyline for the Bravo. Okay, that's what he is suggesting at this point. Now, it's getting kind of crazy, because I felt like this, and I knew it. I knew when we first started talking about this that there would be more information that would continue to come out, because in these newly uncovered, documentations, okay, they basically say that, Mark was blindsided, quote, by the custody suit. And he says that he's a restaurant owner who has suffered greatly in terms of, economic harm because of the panorama. Okay. And he says that he was forced to be away from the baby because he was stuck in New York for a good portion of the panorama and couldn't travel due to all of the restrictions. Okay, so he avoided seeing his child to protect her from getting sick. Okay, now I'm just gonna go ahead and let me hop back on the screen. And I don't know about y'all, and so you can correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't have any kids, and I also did not see my own family, for quite some time during the pandemic, because, my parents are, older. So I wanted to make sure that I did everything possible to protect them. They stayed in their own little bubble. But if it was my child, I don't really know that I would have been able to stay away from my child. I probably would have had to hop in a car and go get myself tested, quarantined for like 14 days, gotten myself tested, and headed on down to the Atlanta to be with my child. or to at least see my child at certain points. That's just me, because if the restaurant is closed and you can't do no work, what else are you doing? What else are you doing? What else are you doing? That's just me. But y'all, I know a lot of you guys in the comment section will have, you may have kids or whatever. I want to know what your thoughts are about this. Like, would you let anything keep you away from your child? I don't know about it. So let's get back to what else is going on, okay? Now he says that he kept his separate home, in New York, and he kept that separate from their Atlanta home. And he says that he was paying Kenya $1,000 per week, quote, even though he had not had income for several months. Now, according to this, his lawyers are saying that Kenya, has never expressed a need for more financial support from the defendant, because, she allegedly has her own substantial financial means. Now, he is saying that she's only filing this case to create a false narrative for the Real Housewives of Atlanta that she is filming. Okay. And according to him, due to losing all of his income due to the panorama, she was now, quote, the family's breadwinner. Okay. And they named the sources that she was, getting that coin from Real Housewives of Atlanta, her acting, her hair care company. And he demanded that she, pony up basically $5,000 for his attorney's fees. So then they're saying that, in response, she trashed him, claiming that she sued him because he tried to fight her for custody in 2019. So she said she needed the court to step in because of that. Now, in that past, she had also alluded to the fact that, or the allegations, I should say, that he never even spent a full day with his daughter. And her lawyer said this, that he also repeatedly attempts to serve as a roadblock to her income, and he uses their child as a pawn to prevent her from meeting contractual obligations. Then she says that he is trying to cloud the factual narrative by saying that he is financially stable and earning significant income to support his counterclaim, but then turns and cries for help in his motion for attorney fees where he claims insolvent. Honestly, this whole situation is just a lot of back and forth, guys. Like, it's just getting worse and worse by the day. Do I think that she's trying to create a false narrative for the show, or create a narrative for the show? I don't think so. I think, but I don't know. I can't imagine using, your child in that way. So I sort of disagree with that. I don't know what has happened with them in terms of their marriage and their relationship, but somehow this whole situation has dissolved and devolved into complete and utter chaos. But it's really not a good look overall, because at the end of the day, with all of these shenanigans going back and forth in court, it's like, to me, it feels like Mark doesn't really have that much of a genuine interest in really being around Kenya in that way. And as a result, it seems like Brooklyn seems to be suffering in the process. Not really suffering, but in terms of she is almost a casualty in this situation, because it seems as though he just can't stand Kenya and wants to be away from her. And I feel like she is trying to do what's in the best interest of the child and herself in terms of her career with Bravo, because she does need to show her child in order to maintain a successful career as a housewife. It just is what it is. You have to be able to show your family if you want to be full time. That's just the way it works. And until something changes with that, then she will always be in jeopardy of potentially not being able to be full time if she can't show her actual family life. So with that being said, guys, it just keeps getting messier and messier by the day. Again, I really would hope that they could just pull this thing together and just get it together. but apparently they can. So with that being said, we will just have to see what happens, and we will catch you guys in the next video.